Welcome to our program on the fight against soil acidity in Tanzania. And today we have Dr. Meliyo, a soil scientist of Tanzania, and who can give us just a glimpse and an overview what is the situation in Tanzania. Doctor, can you tell us what is soil acidity and its implication?
Yes, thank you for the question. First, the definition of soil acidity.
Yes.
We start with how do we measure soil acidity.
Okay.
Soil acidity is measured using a pH meter. The pH meter is the scale which values 1 to 14. And in the middle, that is 7, is a neutral point. As you climb the ladder to 14, you have the salt-affected soils. Below 7, you have the acid soils. The extreme value, the lowest value, is the strongest soil acidity. It is measured with the concentration of hydrogen ion, a logarithmic value, which means between the two values, there is a concentration 100 times bigger. When you find soil pH 6, you drop to 5, you increase by 100 values. In Tanzania, we have big areas that are affected by soil acidity. It is a natural phenomenon.
Okay.
That is born of the rocks that weathers. If the rock is acidic, it produces acidic soil. That is why you find in the national park, the woodland, that is not cultivated at all, but they have low soil pH. They have high acid soils. Now look, there is a difference between low pH and high pH. When you say low pH, you are talking of smaller values in the scale. So when you say low pH soil, you are saying strong acid soils. In Tanzania, we have about 32.7 million hectares of the land that are affected by soil acidity. And out of that, the cultivated land is 4.7 million hectares. And from that, 1.1 million hectares cultivate the staple food maize. So it is really affecting us.
Well, can you mention regions in particular? Which regions are?
The natural causes of soil acidity, apart from the parent material and rocks, is also attributed or caused by high rainfall. So in Tanzania, the high rainfall areas, all high rainfall areas, are characterized by low pH soil or acidic soils. Those are all the regions, the Southern Highland, including Mbeya, Songwe, Njombe, Iringa, Katavi, Rukwa, Songea, but also all the regions around Lake Victoria that experiences a high rainfall, like Kagera, Kigoma, Mwanza, Mara. But you also find some areas with low pH soil in the other part of the country. So, although the big chunks of the acid soils are found in the regions I have just mentioned, there are also acid soils in other regions of the country.
Thanks for that information. So, when we go back again, can you give us some details? What are the impact of this problem?
The problem of soil acidity, as I said, this is a measure of hydrogen ion concentration in the solution of soil. When you have low pH soil, that is when you have acid soils, most of the bases calcium, magnesium, potassium are not in that solution. They are in low levels and they are not available for plant uptake. As we know, for the crop to do better, they have to have nutrients. The most nutrients that are affected by low pH soils are bases, but also nitrogen and phosphorus. Phosphorus in low pH soils are fixed by the elements that are usually dissolved in the low pH soil, especially aluminium, manganese and iron. They fix phosphorus and make it unavailable for plant uptake. If phosphorus is not available, it affects the rooting system, it affects the crop establishment. If the bases, like the one I mentioned, calcium, magnesium, potassium, if they are not available, the crop will not sprout or grow in a healthy way. So you have stunted crops, you have poor crops, you have little grains, and you have at last a poor yield. That is the implication, because it is the pH that influence availability of the nutrient in the soil for the crop.
For that matter, as we speak now, which crops are most affected?
Soil pH affects almost all crops.
All crops?
Except tea.
Except tea?
Except tea.
Why?
Tea prefer soils with low pH, even the 3. It is sprout, and the quality of tea is prefers the low pH soil. But the crop like maize, beans, wheat, name it, the major crops require the soil pH between 5.5 and 7.5. And because that is the range where most of the nutrients are balanced, they are available in the soil solution.
Okay. You have done your research on these issues.
Yes.
So how much economic loss does Tanzania?
I didn't do research per commodity.
Per commodity.
But I can just give you an impression.
Think
that you have 1.1 million hectares that grow maize. And because of the low pH, you end up getting 2 bags of 100 kg per hectare. If you can just find, and you know that in 1 hectare you are supposed to get 25 bags, but because of the soil acidity you get 2 bags, 3 bags, 5 bags instead of 25, 30. You can see the gap or the loss you are getting. That is one. But another thing, when you have low pH soil, when you apply fertilizers, the fertilizers are not well taken up by the crop. You get off losing up to 70% of what you apply. Which means if you are investing 100 for fertilizer, you are losing 70 shillings for each 100 you invest in the low acid soil. Which means you can compute using the government subsidy. You can take the billions that are being applied in those soils, and then you just take 50 to 70% as a loss. So it is contributing yield losses, but also for monetary losses.
In that case, the magnitude is high.
The magnitude is very high. And it's a silent killer. That is why it was not earlier recognized. So the government, you find the government is putting a strong hand on subsidy and what in fertilizers, but leaving behind what could make the fertilizers produce more. lime is an amendment. It is not part of the fertilizer, but it's not subsidized.
What do you think as a researcher, as a professional? And I'm just looking at it that we have a problem that the magnitude is high. And now we have to get a solution. And you guys, you have the solution. The solution is lime. What's happening here?
As I said, this is a silent problem. It is not that people are not willing to fight this. The people lately came to realization that this is a problem. It is just being realized this is a problem. For the developed world, that is the known fact. But for us, we are just recognizing, even ourselves, even most of the scientists are just realizing it now. Okay. And the government also started to realize it. And the government composed a team that explored it in 2017. That is when the problem got into perspective.
Now, is there any help?
The help is there.
How?
The help is just to accept that that is the problem we are living in. We need to establish correctly the extent of it, and because we know the antidote, we know what to correct the problem, we go for it. There is no shortcut, because it's a natural phenomenon that existed before even we start cultivating the land.
So, if I can just try to digest what you've been telling me so far, there's nothing human beings contributed to it.
Their contribution of a human being.
How?
We contribute through farming practices.
Farming practices.
Farming practices in Tanzania in particular. We plant crops and then we harvested the whole thing. We harvested the grain, and through anymore we harvested the residue. It means you are continuously harvesting the bases. Mind you, the calcium, the potassium, the phosphorus, name it, get in the plant from the soil. The more you plant, the frequency of planting is the frequency of harvesting what is in the soil. And it gets depleted. That is very natural. In that, you keep on taking, pumping out, you take to the market, you export abroad, but you leave undesirable soil properties, the aluminium, the manganese, the iron. So the continuous cultivation intensifies acidity. That is one thing. Another thing that is not applicable in our country is the application of nitrogenous fertilizers that also have a contribution of acidifying. But because our use of fertilizers is minimal, that may not hold in our country. We are using very little fertilizers. But in other countries, in every bag of fertilizer you apply with a certain amount of lime to neutralize the acidification effect of the fertilizers. In our case, that is not, I don't think it is true.
Then we need strategies.
Yes.
What are those?
The government, although I am not a spokesman of the government of Tanzania.
I know, but you are a professional on this. But I think you know some strategies which are being implemented or whatever, so that we can counter this problem.
The government of Tanzania have started a huge soil testing. And when you test the soil, you know what is the problem of the soil. And when you know the problem, you will go for the problem. That is one strategy that I find it to be a logger heading if towards the soil liming strategy, because the government is putting a lot of effort in soil testing. The problems emerge, will be obvious, and certainly they will look for the problem.
Are we alone?
They will look for the problem. They will look for the solution of the problem.
Are we alone?
We are not alone.
Who
We are
is
not
helping
alone.
us?
We are not alone because there are development partners, there are NGOs, there are many stakeholders out there who are helping the farmers even to realize the problem. I understand this problem came to realization through NGOs like Clinton Foundation. There are other NGOs like Britain and whatnot, One Acre Fund, and many others in the Southern Highland that are helping people to apply lime and see the effect. And that is where even scientists got to know that we had a problem that we were sitting with without knowing it.
Do you know anything about Gaia?
Yes, I know Gaia. Gaia is the project, and actually the Gaia is called Guiding Acid Soil Investment in Africa. It is the project that was born out of the project that preceded it, the African Soil Information Service, and the Tanzania Soil Information Service. We did characterization of soils in 18 regions, and we realized this problem. Then we wrote a small project. Then it was realized that this is a regional project, a regional problem. So the idea from Tanzania was expounded to Ethiopia, Rwanda, and Kenya. So this project was being implemented in 4 countries. The aim, apart from advocating healthy soils, is to establish the ground facts, but also to work out and find out the policies that are being implemented by governments aiming to address the problem of soil acidity. In Tanzania, we are doing experiments in 2 districts, Mbozi and Geita. We had what we call the shotgun trials, 50 trials per district, each of them. We are trying to establish the facts. How much lime do you need? How do you apply for the 2 crops, maize and beans? And I am the national coordinator for the Gaia project.
That's good.
So I know it.
So far, what do you put in place?
Gaia, we did a purposeful decision to go to Geita because 45% of the acid soils is located in the lake zone and the western zone. 30% is in the southern highland and south. While there was some kind of awareness in the southern highland, there was no awareness at all around the lake zone. So we did a purposeful selection of that site. As I'm speaking with you now, we have 100 farmers who registered their name, they need lime, and they are ready to buy. So there is awareness creation, but also we have established the losses the farmers are incurring by not using lime. when we are like coming to a finalization and writing a final report, that will guide the government of maybe of working out a strategy for liming. Because the government works with information, accurate information, data.
And you're willing to provide that?
Oh. Yes, that was the purpose of doing the experiment altogether.
So, one thing I want to be sure,
Yes.
Where are we going to get that line? Inside or outside?
The blessed thing about our country,
Yeah.
we have a lot of lime.
So there is no
And
dilemma
they
on
are
that.
distributed in almost all over the country.
Almost all over the country.
All over the country. We have, from the geological department, we found that there are limestone throughout. We have more than 30 limestone mines, although not exploited. At present, the lime is coming from Tanga and Dodoma cement.
Tanga.
And they are not even producing enough because the people are not aware. That is one big problem. People are not aware that they have a problem.
Who is supposed to give that information to the public?
Everybody else, including you.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yes, everybody else, including us, you, and whoever have a platform should shout that we have a problem that is making us to get more than what we are expecting to get. You know what has been like covering the problem. In the past, when the population was sparse, a farmer go to a place and open the land, he cultivates 3 seasons. When the sharp decline comes, he shifts to a new place. Actually, what was causing that sharp decline in just 3 seasons of cultivating the area is low soil pH. They move to a new place, they slash, they burn, and the burning, when you burn, the ash try to neutralize the soil acidity. And then you enjoy for 3 seasons. But now, because of the population pressure, we can no longer practice that shift and burn thing. So we need now to manage this acidity. Lime is like ash. Instead of slashing and burning, we apply the lime. And you continue enjoying high yield.
So, do you think this Gaia and the government can work together?
Actually, Gaia is non-starter. It was just a project that generated data.
Okay.
That data will be given to stakeholders, and one of the major stakeholders, we are the government servants. We need to give the government first, before even we give other people.
Okay.
We will inform the government for decision making.
Is there any role can international organization do to help us?
For sure. It is there. When you take an organization like FAO and even the CGIR centers, research institutions, international research institutions, they have the role to play. One, they can add up to research, the knowledge generation. Because, let me tell you, soil is so variable, even within a farm. There are a lot of variability. So maybe what we have now is not enough. We need to continue generating information that will be useful for decision making. So like FAO can do, and whatever, even the bilateral governments can help to generate information, but also giving subsidy.
So you tell me one thing.
Yes.
If we have this problem of weather,
Yes.
and the weather is so challenging, particularly in Dodoma,
Yes.
and my kinsmen here are not willing to work on it, to cultivate sorghum. So can you at least tell us what is wrong? Then what is happening? Why people are not ready to hear and try to cultivate?
Thank you for the question. To be sincere, I don't know why they don't like to cultivate sorghum. Although, what I hear from some organizations, people are changing. It may be that the change is not that big, but there are some changes. People are going now for peel millet and traditional sorghum. But we have very good improved varieties of sorghum. The white one, the red one, they are all available. And it is true that when you have a year with very poor distribution rainfall, when you plant sorghum and you plant maize, it is true that by 80% you lose maize, and by 80% you harvest sorghum. So it is just a question of knowing that, make a choice. We are in a position of advising farmers that if you don't like to eat sorghum, don't eat it, but plant it because it is likely that you are going to harvest that maize, and you sell to the people who need to use it. There are industries like TBL, they need sorghum for brewing, but there are people who need to ferry to areas where people prefer sorghum. The international organization that prefer sorghum for refugee camps. So plant sorghum, manage it, harvest it, sell it, and buy maize if you don't like to eat sorghum. But one also thing that we need to assure people is that sorghum have comparative advantage to maize in case of nutritional elements. There are some elements that are available in sorghum and not in maize, including the anti-aging elements.
If that's the case, why can't we force the people to cultivate it?
Forcing may not be a very good option.
They don't know.
Persuading them.
Persuading them.
Give them some clues of evidence that when you plant sorghum, you are likely to harvest that maize. So we do some demonstration in their nearest farms, and they see, and then slowly they will change.
You are in this field for a long time. I don't know how many years.
30.
30 years. So
Yes.
30 years is something. As an intellectual, what do you think we are heading?
We are heading to a better place, but in climate we are heading to difficult times. As a people, we are changing. We are changing because there are emerging towns that are markets to all commodities. Our farmers needed to take advantage of these booming towns. When you cultivate sorghum, you can sell in town. When you cultivate sunflower, you can sell in town. When you cultivate sweet potato, you can sell in town. So we should be market driven more than peasantry sentiment driven. Don't produce for yourself. Produce targeting the market. There are people who need the sorghum. Why don't you go for that?
With the new variety which you have there at Hombolo, how many bags can a person produce from 1 acre?
From 8 to 12.
From 8 to 12. And if you compare to the maize,
You don't get maize at all. If you are lucky, you get 1 bag or 2. If you are lucky. If you are unlucky, you get 0. That is the experience here. Because there are intermittent droughts that frustrate the crop and kill the crop. The maize failed to tolerate lack of rainfall in 2 weeks. But sorghum can tolerate. You wait for rainfall for the next 2 weeks.
what can you tell Tanzanians on this?
My message is that the challenges facing us need a dynamic mind. You should not keep on living like your grandpa and daddy and what. We need to change to face the reality on the ground. If it is sunflower that can pay you, you should not continue cultivating the crops that your grandpa was cultivating. We need to change. We need to change the culture. We need to change the behavior. We need to change the practice. And enjoy. Because yesterday is not today. And today is not tomorrow. We need really to go with time.
How do you see Tanzania in 10 years to come?
It is difficult to say.
Why?
From the population pressure we are facing, let me tell you, it is being projected that in 2050, Tanzania will have 140 million people. Now, in the next 10 years, if you take the percentage, we are going to be close to 80 million people. If there is a lot of scramble in the market today with 60, add another 20, how will the struggle be? So, I see the country that will be really busy, but with a lot of opportunities, especially in agriculture, because there will be many people to feed. You know, the population is also an opportunity. When you produce banana, you will have the market. When you produce anything, there will be a market. But because of the pressure, there will be a lot of competition as well. So the sleeping people will completely be poor. We will also see emerging rich, but there will be good population that of poor people if you do not struggle very well.
With all this pressure you are talking about, what about the piece of land?
The piece of land will be premium, will be highly valuable. Highly valuable. And you know, the land now we are blessed because our government saw that land should be the public property to date. But we don't know in the next 10 years what will the policy will bring to us. If the land come to privatization that you will own a small piece of land for yourself, then getting a piece of land will be really difficult.
And that, it will simmer down to you guys.
Sorry?
It will simmer down to you guys. What are you trying to propose?
2 things. I usually talk to myself that there are only 3 important assets a human being should aspire to. 1, education. 2, land. Then 3, resident, what you may call your home. People should aspire education, the best they can afford. There should be no in Tanzanian who is not enrolled to school. And we are very lucky that the government is paying everything to Form 6 now. People should take advantage, because that is the only thing you can offer as a true inheritance to a person. But also, people, especially youth, should aspire to acquire even a piece of land, even an acre, even 2 acres. That will be a great asset in the next 10 years. And then be proud to build even in a room, even of band brick, to have somewhere you call home. Because we are seeing really difficulties emerging in towns. When you go, you find people who are sleeping in the street. You know, that it is very easy now to have a home, a place, a plot.
Okay. So, we should tell Tanzanians to wake up and cultivate millet and sorghum.
Yes.
The market is there.
The market is there.
And the varieties there.
The varieties are there.
I should say thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.